Hey there, YouTube. Haven't really done a whole lot on here lately because I've had a lot of stuff I've been trying to work on with a group that I'm building up on Facebook. So for those who do have Facebook, you can come find me at JC is with me. People are welcome to join freely. Those who do not do the Facebook thing, that's part of why I am here, because I'm here to discuss all the things that I previously have not. So, I have been working on a lot of stuff on Facebook, trying to figure out subjects that I can be able to cover without having to go digging into the Bible and pulling stuff from there, because I have tried to make it quite obvious that I'm not a pastor or anything, so I'm not going to go ahead and start preaching from the Bible. I might talk some of the lessons in which I had previously learned and my take on the lessons that I've learned, or just educating others with those very same lessons that I've learned. But anyway, on to my main point, that today what I'm going to do is I'm going to touch on a topic which I had previously done with Facebook, because all of our stories from the Bible are taken from a very far back perspective. And the perspective that we could be looking at it from nowadays, things and the way they aged, But yeah, there's some of the things I could say really, like, the modern take on any of these things would definitely be very different. Like, very, very different. But yeah, no, every story, given the fact that they took place thousands of years ago, in the modern time, there's some things that excuse me, would not work out the same way. Put it this way, let's go with Adam and Eve, all the way in the beginning of it all, and let's take a look at what if common sense was invented at the same time. So, everybody knows the story of Adam and Eve, two people that started it all, and how the Lord brought everything into existence and then brought Adam into existence. Adam was the first person. He was naming all the animals, and then God felt that, well, Adam was just lonely. And a lonely Adam was a sad-looking sight. I'm assuming that's kind of what the Lord was going with. Was just kind of realizing, well, this, like watching him from a TV show, just going, well, got a man, got some animals. This is depressing. He needs another half. Assuming that's kind of how it went. So, she comes into existence. Now, enters the serpent. The serpent getting to Eve and getting into this whole thing of eating from the trees of the garden, and then how they can only not eat from the tree in the middle of the garden, the tree of good and evil as it was known, because if you eat from it, you will surely die. And of course, I don't think the serpent really knew what was going on there. So when he heard her say that, he just kind of went, I don't think God's gonna go ahead and kill off his creation for eating something. Why would he do that? I'll tell you right now, it was a good theory. But hey, here's this. So, there's the knowledge of good and evil, which I don't know if the serpent was fully aware of everything. He just kind of went, "Hey, you're going against the big guy, like I did. So let's just see what happens." You know, that's kind of his idea. Was what would make God more mad? I already turned against him. Why not take another one of his creations and turn it against him? So, when he decided to say, hey, you will not surely die, he once again, as he always loves to do, he figured, let's go ahead, let's test God, let's see how far he'll go. Will God just really snap his fingers and just end his creation? Because that was what he had in mind. But nobody realized how things were really going to go down, and how they could have really gone down. Now, let's take our modern take on things, and what if common sense was invented? Okay, so Eve comes to Adam, holding this fruit in her hand. Adam, looking at it, full well knowing he had seen it before and he knows where it came from. Basically, they'd be like, what are you doing with that? Do you know we're not supposed to be eating that stuff? What are you doing with that? And she'd say, well, I was by the tree, and the serpent came to me and basically told me that it was all a lie. So one of the biggest points here, now, well, she says all these things to Adam. Adam could basically look at her and go, all right, you're trying to tell me this lizard, snake, whatever, serpent thing came to you and told you this. You know I named all these creatures, right? I had encounters with all these creatures. And you know what I can tell you? None of them talk! Yeah. None of them. They don't speak a word. They make noise. So there's something wrong there. If something came to you and said, hey, how's it going? That looks like some good fruit, huh? You want to try it? I mean, I'm sure nothing's going to happen to you. Oh, God talks a big game, but he don't mean nothing. I mean, come on now. Why would he go and kill you? He created you just what? Yesterday, day before? Think he's gonna kill you already? No, come on now. Common sense. Common sense. I mean, I think Adam would have made it quite clear to Eve, going, no animals around here speak. I tried to have conversations with them. It didn't get anywhere. So they'd be like, hey, God, can you come down here? We got a problem. And God, he probably, after day 7, he probably sat there and just kind of watched things a little bit. Might not have been keeping an eye on them the whole time, but he probably just kind of relaxed and sort of watched things and just kind of took it all in. And then he's just like, taking back up there. His phone rings, and I'll tell him, hey, can you come down here? We got a problem. And he's going to be like, just like a lot of people with their boss, where, it's their day off. And then they're getting called in. They're just like, all right, I'll be there in a minute. And he comes down. Goes, all right, what's going on here? And then Adam tells him, yeah, well, Eve says that this serpent thing came and talked to her. But I think you know, and as well as I know, that they don't talk. There's no way. There's no way that you could have a conversation. And then God just feel like, you're right. You're right. None of these animals were created to be able to have a conversation with people. So I think we need to go find this thing and deal with it. So Eve taking Adam and God and going, so this is where I saw him at. And who just comes wandering up? Serpent. And be like, alright, so yeah, you know what? You're not. I mean, God would look real closely at him. He'd be like, I don't recall of all the creatures inventing you. You do have some similarities to things that I created, but there's something different. So, I'm pretty sure that even with his, you know, ways of doing things, I'm sure that even Satan himself couldn't completely disguise himself, even as something else. It's where God would basically go, there's something very familiar about you. Because I did not create something that looks as you do. And just kind of stand there and look at him for a second and go, all right. Lucifer, you are still trying to be that he probably wouldn't even find the words. I mean, unless another thing was invented at that time. Another thing. Let's say a phrase was invented at that time. Because of all the underhanded things that Lucifer does try to do. That, he basically goes, Lucifer, you once again are being a pain in my which, I could see that happening. So you're still trying to play some games here. You keep on trying to play your games, and this time you're trying to mess with my creation. I don't like that. You're stirring up stuff with your brothers and sisters. That's one thing. But now you're also trying to stir things up with my brand new creation. I'm not too happy with that. I'm not too pleased with you trying to do this. So, let's go ahead and let's do this. You want to be Mr. Lizard Man? Well, guess what? Lizard Man. Boom. Arms and legs disappear. And then he tells him about how he's going to spend the rest of his life crawling on his belly. And without Lucifer having the brains to know it, would understand that God's telling him that there's going to come a time when somebody very great will come along. Man, Satan was not smart enough to catch on that everything that God was telling him, but he basically was actually trying to warn Satan that somebody was coming that was going to be a big pain in his and truly make him suffer for everything that he's done and everything that he would continue to do. I mean, common sense would exist in many different parts. I mean, Lucifer would have gotten the idea that, hey, maybe I should not tamper with any of this. I should leave everything and everyone in this place alone because it's not going to go well for me, obviously. I mean, I've already lost the war. Now this is happening. I mean, there's no way things are going to get better for me. So I might as well just go ahead and be a good little boy. No, he doesn't do that. Now, let's do a little bit more into the common sense and other practices that we have nowadays. Let's move on to Noah. Noah and his ark. There'd be a lot of questions. I mean, especially if you were to think of this sort of thing happening in more of the modern time. Be like, all right, God, you go ahead. You want to give me all the instructions. Send them to me in an email, so I could be able to have like a photocopy of every single piece of this information. I want to make sure that I very clearly have every single detail down, nothing missing. So it'd be good if I had all of this like set up, and well, you would think that like at the point of the ark and whatnot, that no, there wasn't really a whole lot of people that Noah could trust. But in the modern era, somehow him and God works up now. To get a construction company. Be like Noah's Ark Construction. And they just built this big old massive ship. Unfortunately, Noah's going to be like, well, you know what? God told me you guys were good enough to help me build, but you're not good enough to go with us, so I'm sorry. I mean, granted, in the modern world, people got word of it, they'd be like, all right, we're gonna make sure that what we do is we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna hop on our own boat. Then we're gonna see what happens. That's what we're gonna do. We're just gonna all hop on our own boat and we're gonna go ahead and just ride it out. But you think Noah wouldn't be pleased going, all right, so you want me to create a boat. That can't be steered or controlled in any way. There's only one door on this boat. There's only one window on this boat. I don't know how much I don't know how much I like this idea. Like I, you know, at this point in time, be like, all right, I want a rudder, I want a motor, I want a navigation system. Ain't no way I'm going without all that. But yeah, surely everybody wanted to make sure that they were equipped. Not just gonna let yourself float around out in the middle of nothing and not have a single clue where you're at, where you're going. Yeah, you want some details. You don't want to get lost. Find yourself going, all right, well, where we came from that was home is way over on the other side of the globe. We're never going to see our former home ever again because there's no way of getting back to it. So yeah, I would definitely see there'd be a lot of questions regarding all that. I mean, that's, as I said, modern take. Now, one more story for today. Moses. I mean, first off, let's look at both perspectives here. Let's look at the perspective of the Jews and the perspective of the Pharaoh. Now, the perspective of the Pharaoh here. I mean, yeah, everybody gets like, you got a lot of workers. You got a lot of people building. And then all of a sudden it's basically like, I mean, let's go ahead and look at it in a modern way. Alright, so let's look at television and movies when they had that writer's strike thing. That slowed a lot of stuff up. Shows were not going back on TV when they were set. Movies were not going forward when they were set. All because of a writer's strike. Every single time there's a TV show or a movie and there's some sort of thing going on. But yeah, you look at any sort of strikes or anything, and you look at how stuff gets postponed, big plans. Yeah, that could really irritate you. That could be a lot of frustration. But there does have to come a point when you gotta ask yourself, what is it worth? I mean, honestly, if there was any way he was able to reimburse, if he was able to reimburse any of these people fairly, would they have laughed at Moses and just went, "No, we're good. We're making a decent living here. We don't need to leave." I mean, that would make sense. Of course, if they weren't getting whipped and everything like that, that would probably have helped too. Now, what if we go from a little bit from the other perspective, the Jews? Well, what if they just kind of went, okay, let's go ahead and let's start with making a deal. we'll go with Moses' idea, but first off, let's try to strike a deal here. Go to the Pharaoh and go, all right, you know what? We're getting really tired of this. We're getting whipped. We're getting kicked around. We're working all of this, and for what? It's like you're not really doing anything good for us. We can go ahead and leave and probably have a better life doing nothing. I mean, well, I could see him like try to cut a deal with Pharaoh and go, "Hey, tell you what, you want us to keep doing this for you? Let's make a deal." And be like, first off, no more whippings. You're just hurting us, and you're making it more difficult for us to work. You're not improving anything. Basically, like if all these Jews had human resources, and for somebody to come in and just be like, all right, so listen, Pharaoh, I know you want this job done, but the way you're treating these people is not gonna fly. We have a report on you, and trust me, what you're doing is just not going to fly with us. So you need to make some changes. If you're not willing to make some changes, we're going to make some changes. So then, Pharaoh decides to go with making changes, making things better for the Jews. They don't go anywhere. They live a good life. They don't need to go anywhere. They get paid decent wages. They get food. They have a home. They're not getting whipped anymore. It's all good. Now, let's go ahead and let's turn everything back to the Moses thing here, where the Pharaoh is telling him no, everything's going to go my way or no way. So Moses like, all right, you know what? I got to show you a little something here. Show you that my God's not kidding. You see this stick? Wham! Look at that. It turned into a snake. That's not me. That's him up there, And then, it's going to be like, all right. You're really, it's a good magic trick. Good magic trick. But you know what? My guys could do the same thing. Hey, show them. Oh, boom, look at that. Oh, yeah, see? They could pull off the exact same magic trick you can. Be like, all right, I'll let you have that one. But trust me, I'll be back. Keep my words, I'll be back. So, moving on. The Pharaoh's enjoying himself a nice bath, dip in the river, just kind of relaxing. And then that's when here comes Moses going, all right, this is gonna work. If it doesn't work, it's going to be funny because guess what's going to happen? He's going to freak out. Hey, who doesn't want to see the Pharaoh just lose his mind? So, they're all standing there, hiding in the bushes, watching. Boom. That water starts to turn red. And what happens? They start freaking out. Pharaoh starts freaking out. So, when Pharaoh starts freaking out, they start laughing. And you know, Pharaoh's probably in such a freak out. He's getting out of the water. He's probably slipping and falling and everything like that. And you would think, in the modern time of things, that somebody go, that looks like blood, that tastes like blood, that's blood. Yeah, you know, be looking at the his people going. They're going, well, sir, that's not something we can do. We don't know how he pulled that one off. And quite frankly, that's disgusting. I mean, you would think Pharaoh would have been like, all right, yeah, that was pretty gross. That seems almost impossible. You know what? If this is what you're willing to do right now, I don't even want to know how much further you're going to go. Just leave. Just go. Get out of here. You know. That, or it's like, you know, you could even look at some of the other things that he did. I mean, how many times would you basically be telling him, like, no. You can keep on trying, but no, I'm not letting you leave. Do I look like a fool to you? Come on now. And then finally, when he lets him leave, I mean, seriously? Now, from Moses' perspective, this is what I would have done. Alright, so, take a look at things and go, alright, so, this guy has really tried hard to keep us from leaving. So, here's what I'm thinking we do. Because he's been trying really, really, really hard to keep us from leaving. What if we all leave and we kind of, we all go in the same direction, but let's do this. You know, so we all just sort of separate out. And he won't know which direction to follow. He won't know who he's going after. And you know what? Here's what else we can do. Let's go ahead and take one man from each of those groups and let's dress them up all to look like Moses. So if he's going after Moses, he won't know which group Moses is with. And they all decide, all right, so we're going to do this idea, but then every night as we're going, we're going to stop. And as wherever we stop at, everybody's going to do a fire. And you're going to keep a lookout. If you can see the smoke, then you're good. You know, kind of like smoke signals, just to be like, as long as you can see the smoke from your neighbor, then you know that you're not too far away. So basically be telling, so let's say you got your groups going like this. So you're telling this group here, look off this way. See if you see smoke. If you see smoke, you are still within distance of your other group. We don't want you to lose track. This one, tell them kind of the same thing, but on both sides. This one, same thing. But you make sure all these groups, they can all at least somewhat keep track of where one another is. And then as they're approaching the Red Sea, they all know, let's make our way back inward. So then they all just meet back up at the Red Sea. As all of these other groups, you know, they could pull off the original. But you see, the idea is quite simple. Is that like they used to do in the cartoons, and well, I mean, they've even done it in movies. I mean, I'm gonna go ahead and name drop one, The Shining. So, everybody remembers that has ever seen it. The little trick that he pulls off. To where he makes his footprints that are leading off one direction, but then sneaks off the other way. I mean, you know, there's that, and then also, you know, in more of the modern thinking, they would also do such as, like, let's go ahead and take the chariots and the horses, but yeah, they just figure it all out like that. Let's go ahead, let's take things of the pharaohs that he's gonna need. Because that'll slow them down. If they don't have all their horses and all their chariots, they won't easily be able to catch up to us. And as long as they got them fooled, that's going to slow them up at least a little bit more. So they could either cross the Jordan they can cross the Red Sea all the way without worrying, or they can at least be able to cross it a good chunk of the way without even knowing they're back there. I mean, if they could pull it off and make it across the Red Sea without the Pharaoh even catching up to him, the Pharaoh's not going to find him. The Pharaoh's not going to know how to find him. Because he's been tricked. But yeah, if all of the modern ways of things, where, you know, little sleight of hand, a little little something here, a little something there, form a little magic trick. You know, just a little bit of looking here, but not seeing what's going on over here. Because they're making them think they're doing this, but in reality they're doing this. But they're keeping them looking over here when they're doing all this over here. Boom. And that's all it would take. Anyway, that is my nice little ranting for today. I will be back tomorrow or another day this week. As long as I get some likes and maybe some subscribing. Just keep checking out my videos. And I guess before I go, I can't end a video without a prayer. Father, thank you. Thank you so much for everything that you do for us every day. Everything you've ever done for us. Everything you continue to do for us. Throughout every generation, you perform many miracles, Father, and we thank you for that. And we pray that you help us all in times of need, including those in Texas. But I pray that you help the people of Texas, all those with children that have been lost, all of those who have yet to be found, live or not. Just put people's minds at ease, Father. Let them know. And I pray that more people are found alive than that aren't. I pray that all those who are going through this, that have indeed lost a loved one, that you touch them and let them know that while their family is no longer with them, that they are with you. In Jesus' name, amen.